I think his core is broke white people who are so mad that you really don't have an excuse to be just broke and white, you know? So like broke white people, they don't know who to blame. They're like, everything was set up for you to make it, to be, you ain't got to be rich or a mogul, but you should be able to make it. And if you can't, who you gonna blame? Oh, I'm blaming the Mexicans that came over here illegally. I'm gonna blame them. They're the ones taking the jobs that I should get. No, they ain't. You're just lazy. You're stupid.
You don't want that job.
You know what I mean? I'm like, it's you.
Yeah, you're not in front of Home Depot every Saturday.
And man, Trump, it ain't Trump, whoever his campaign manager was, it says, we ain't going to LA or New York or Atlanta. We're not getting the big celebs to get us. We're going to these broke ass white towns that nobody goes to that dig the same way black people come and vote for Barack. These people don't go out and vote. And he got them to vote.
Mr. President, if your poll numbers are good, they're with people who are rich or mean or both, okay? Because your policies have made things more expensive, okay? Because your policies have made law enforcement look like a bunch of thugs. That's why. So either you're rich and you got your tax cut and everything's great and regulations are dropped and you're able to do whatever you want to do and life is grand because you're an investor, or you have bought into the fact that it's not the company that solicits someone to come over to this country illegally, helps facilitate it, gives them that substandard wage, and plays with all their numbers, that you never go after, not once, not a single employer. But you basically want people to think that everyone they solicit to come over and who works here in jobs that we wouldn't have filled otherwise and that feeds our economy to the tune of billions of dollars a year, they're all little mini El Chapos, and you can treat them any way you want and it's okay. And you got to be mean to believe that. So those are the only people who are following you. So it makes sense that the polls say you're unpopular, because most of this country is not rich and most of this country is not mean. And them's the facts.
Do you think Trump is, if we could say this, more susceptible to pressure from, I guess, MAGA?
More susceptible to pressure from MAGA? Well, I think it kind of depends on the thing. I anymore think that a lot of Trump supporters really aren't too happy with him this term, with the war in Iran, with his tariffs, his impact on the economy. And anymore, now that Trump already has the power, already has the glory, and already has the office, and probably won't run for a third term, he's kind of putting the populistic interests of his voters to the side and just doing whatever he wants to do, whatever will keep him out of jail, and what will ever put him in the history books. Because if he was concerned with what his voters want, well, then he wouldn't be starting a war that caused the largest monthly increase in the price of gas since Vietnam. He wouldn't be implementing economic policy that has led to every single macroeconomic variable being worse off today than it was a year and a half ago under Biden.
So he's not more susceptible to MAGA than like Kamala Harris would have?
Post winning the election, I don't really think that he is susceptible to anyone's desire or interests outside of his own. Like, he won the election, so he has the term. Now he's just going to do whatever he wants. And I think that the state of the country right now, and the fact that he has the lowest approval rating out of any president in history at this point in their term, but is continuing on this path, is strong evidence of that.
Just admit it. You guys got duped. You got played. Everybody told you so, and you didn't want to listen.
The promises are being broken. The promises are being broken. Mocked. Openly mocked.
Like when he told you he'd lower electricity prices?
Watching my electric go from $2.25 to $5.15.
Or when he told you that he'd lower prescription drug costs?
Millions of Americans who do rely on this particular Medicare subsidy will be paying more for their drug premium.
Or when he said tariffs would be great for the economy.
Indeed, the Fox News poll shows about 3/4 of Americans now feel negatively about the economy. They kind of feel, at least what we found on the ground, is that they feel like the wealthy doing okay, and the rest maybe not so much.
Or when he said that Kamala would get us into a war with Iran.
We have a war that's going on. Yes, you call it a war. Maybe I call it a military operation.
Or when they said they'd release the Epstein files, or when they blamed a vandal for the damage to the reflecting pool, or when they quietly changed the number of casualties in the Iran war, or any of a million other things that they lied to you about.
Who respect
you're good at this, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like you're tricking people, you know what I'm saying? And we all know the Democrats have been behind corruption, anarchy.
The Democrats hide behind corruption. Well, I mean, even if that was
No.
true, I mean,
No.
that's better than like just like brazenly supporting it in the open. Like, oh
But
my
they so-
goodness. Oh my goodness,
they're
Trump. Oh God.
But aren't they all anarchists? Have you not seen a pattern with the Democrats, what they enabled?
Yeah,
don't
bro.
remember-
So Democrats are not anarchists. Anarchists usually are unconcerned with government. Why? Maybe because they literally want to abolish the government.
Democrats? Yeah.
No, anarchists.
Well, Democrats, they're trying to like
Okay.
rewrite everything.
Dude,
Well,
holy, you're
43, right?
actually a droid, bro. You're actually a droid, bro. You're actually a droid. Why do you think that the Democratic Party wants to literally abolish government?
Well,
Because that's what it means to be an anarchist.
All right, so they're trying to get rid of police for one.
No, the Democratic
they're trying to
Party's not trying to
bring
get rid of police. They're trying to
they're trying
reform police.
They make the laws in the Congress and the House and the Senate, and now they just want to overlook it for votes. I mean, that's corruption.
Mr. I Did It All for the Nussy had a pretty terrible performance in his press conference yesterday because the treatments he's getting at the beginning of every month are starting to not work anymore. My sources tell me that his meeting with a medical specialist at Camp David was a disaster, and he's probably not that far from just refusing medical attention altogether. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 15 years experience working in home health care treating geriatric patients with dementia, heart failure, kidney disease, history of stroke, heart attack, all the shit that he has.
And we have a conflict with Iran, and that's working out very well. Very, very well.
Contraflict. That is not a word. This is a characteristic symptom of frontotemporal dementia known as neologisms, where the dementia patient starts to make up words because the atrophy of the frontal lobe is disintegrating their language abilities. Mutilization, it's another recent made-up word he's had.
Now, we have photographs or tapes, like moving cameras, right? We have them where people are on the side cutting it with a box knife. Was it? So now I'm not saying...
He literally could not remember the word video or footage, again, for the same reason. The frontotemporal dementia is poking holes in his vocabulary. And then he notices a camera in the room and points to it and says, yeah, that's the thing that I mean. And this is due to atrophy of the brain as a result of dementia. And for a split second, he actually mesmerized himself with that characteristic accordion movement of his hands. He nearly lost his train of thought completely. By the way, if he's moving his hands like that, he is bullshitting. There's not enough room in this video to show it all. He went on a nearly 8-minute rant about the reflecting pool, about the new gold covering they've put on some monuments in the city. He told a reporter, "You're fake news, never speak again." It might be the longest unhinged bullshit rant I've ever heard from him. And that's saying a lot. And he's doubled down again that it was vandalism that caused the reflecting pool to malfunction. He's made this entire storyline up in his head, and he 100% believes that it's true. This is a characteristic frontotemporal dementia symptom known as confabulation. As rapidly as he is declining, that's why I keep telling you guys, the big, beautiful obituary could happen any day now. Falling down the stairs with a catastrophic injury, walking up on the fucking roof and falling off. Who knows? There's so many possibilities. Happy Tuesday. At this point, he's on 103 days of borrowed time. Who did he borrow the time from? The urologist who walked into the exam room and said, "I don't think I'm trained to deal with that, sir." From when he should have succumbed to endometriosis of the brain, been impeached, or they should have finished the process of invoking the 25th Amendment. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
I do believe Trump voters voted for Trump. And when I say Trump voters voted for Trump, it's because Trump has made some significant direction changes on things that MAGA really, really wanted, like the Epstein files. They really, really wanted to get to the bottom of that. Trump took a complete 180 on that and actually became a staunch defender of keeping the Epstein files private. And MAGA really didn't have a problem with it to any significant degree. The same thing with no new wars. Trump not only went away from the no new wars claim, to labeling the Secretary of Defense, the Department of War, or the Department of Defense, changing it to the Department of War, and literally just attacking people constantly. He's only been president for a little bit less than 2 years, and we've had conflicts in over a half a dozen countries. I mean, we can talk about Iran, we can talk about Syria, Nigeria, we can talk about Venezuela. He's threatened places like Greenland. He's threatened Colombia. He's threatened Panama. He's threatened Canada. He's threatening Cuba. He literally changed it to the Department of War, and that's all that we've really been dealing with, is him threatening countries internationally and things like that, and not really boasting about a lot that's benefiting the American population. So, yeah, the MAGA side of the aisle really changed their stance on Trump because, like I said, I believe they voted for Trump. So it really doesn't matter what he does because I voted for him. I didn't vote for what he is actually going to do.
It's time to speak up. Well, it appears the joke's on me. It appears I have been the biggest fool alive. You see, before the last couple of days, I knew that there was a segment of MAGA who just hated, who just wanted to burn the world down and they don't care who they hurt. In the meantime, I knew there was that section, but I really, really thought that most of MAGA just didn't get it. I really thought they just didn't understand. They didn't understand economics because it's complicated. They hadn't studied Project 2025, so they didn't know what was coming. But I really thought when he got in there and started doing the things that hurt so many people, that they would realize and that they would, but they don't care. Y'all have been telling me this for 2 months. And I kept saying, no, we just have to explain it to them. We just have to. Now, I know there are a few. And I thank you guys. You make it worth sticking with this. But over the last couple of days, I have realized that the majority of Republicans do not care how many people are hurt. And they are exactly what Palpatine said. They're the ones he was talking about when he said he could unalive someone in public and they would still vote for him. I thought they just wanted lower egg prices. I thought they were struggling in the economy and it was hard and they wanted their lives to be easier and they listened to that. And that's why they voted for him. But they don't care. They literally don't care how many other people in this world are hurt. See, the difference is I'm willing to pay more for my eggs. If it means no one in my country goes hungry tonight, I am willing to pay more for my eggs. If it means everybody can have an egg. But they really don't care. And I am heartbroken that so many in my country don't care. That so many won't go love their neighbor. But I want to thank those of you who are. You're the ones keeping me going. Go love your neighbor.
So now let's bring everything back together. In 2024, the MAGA movement wasn't just a campaign. It was a promise. A promise that Washington would finally work with the working class instead of the donor class. Supporters were told there would be no foreign wars, that the deep state corruption, including the Epstein files, would finally be exposed, that the mass exploitation would happen first and without exception, and that everyday costs like groceries, rent, and gas would come down almost immediately. Above all, they were promised that this time the government would serve them, not billionaires who'd been calling the shots for decades. And for a while, that promise held the base together like a glue. But look at what happened since. Instead of staying out of foreign conflicts, the administration launched military action against Iran, a move that even loyal MAGA voices were called a betrayal of America first. Commentators who backed Trump through 2 elections were left asking how bombing another country squared with no more endless wars. Instead of releasing Epstein files in full, the promise that fueled so much grassroots energy quietly stalled, and prominent MAGA figures, including people who had defended Trump for years, started saying the quiet part out loud. This looked like cover-up, not transparency. Instead of sweeping deportation program that was promised on stage at every rally, enforcement has been inconsistent enough that every headline immigration voices in the movement have accused the administration of not following through on the one issue that, for many, was the entire reason they showed up for the vote. And economically, the tax legislation that passed under this administration delivered its largest, most durable benefits to corporations, high earners, while working class voters and total miners, the factory workers, the small town families, were told they'd finally get their turn and are still waiting on the relief they were promised. The cost of living hasn't dropped the way it was pitched, which is the case in USA right now because the cost of groceries there is at its highest pitch. The jobs that were supposed to come rolling back haven't materialized at the scale that was promised. Meanwhile, the people at the very top have quietly walked away with the biggest wins. This isn't narrative being pushed by the opposition. This is coming from inside the movement itself. Sitting members of the Congress who were once some of Trump's most loyal defenders has broken ranks. Longtime influencers in the conservative media ecosystem, the same people who spent years building the movement, are now openly questioning whether they were sold something that was never going to be delivered. Polling shows real erosion in enthusiasm, especially among younger voters who once formed the loudest part of this coalition. Not a movement being destroyed from the outside, but the movement watching its own promises get broken from the inside. People who gave their time, their voters, their trust, watching the same old pattern repeat. The tax cuts flow needed the change the most are left holding nothing but the campaign slogans. Movements don't usually collapse because the opposition beats them. They collapse when people inside them stop believing the promises were ever meant for them in the first place. And that's exactly what you are watching happen right now. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe on this YouTube channel if you want to see more videos like this. See you in the next video, which is coming very soon.